Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm David, and we're joined by Pat today to talk about a very exciting part of Lakescape, and that's the landscape side of the business. So with that, Lakescape has several major pillars that we bring to the market. One of those we've talked about a lot, which was the Lake Martin Dock Company, which is a strong pillar for all the marine construction side. Another major product that we bring to the market and solve the problems for our customers, obviously landscapes, which is a very broad term. But with that, we knew we had the expertise and the history to provide all the marine construction needs for our client. And so how did it come about that you are the general manager of the landscape side of the house for Lakescape?
Well, how did it come about? I think more or less the comical side of all of that. It's your fault, David. So
This is true.
All truth, set aside to here, it's the component of like the idea of all of it, utilizing my years of experience and coming in and being able to take and grow and build something again. We have a very successful and still have a very successful landscaping company in Minnesota that we've been running and operating for over 20 years. Also have an electrical division that is fully licensed with the state of Minnesota that we plan on implementing and bringing into Lakescape here as well. But with all of that, we literally do everything for our clients. And when you and I had sat down, probably a couple of years ago now and had a conversation about your clients and my clients and how similar all of the I would say the clientele that we both work with that really is and are. So when we came in and started having those discussions, I'm like, I live in an area of small town. We've got 400 people in our that are permanent residents of our town, but it's all a lake community. So there's 1,000 lakes in our county alone, right, not including the rivers and the swamps and all the other lowland areas. But we cater very highly to those types of clients that have their second, third, or even their fourth lake, place or home. And how do we take care of their problems and solve their needs for them?
It made me think about a discussion we had some time back, and this is where we saw similarities in our customers. The pain that our customers collectively feel, I mentioned earlier, this is a second home for a lot of our customers. And ironically, even the ones that live full time, they come to the lake side of their house maybe on the weekends, but not during the week. So what is that pain point for your customers today in Minnesota for when they decide they're going to come up to their lake house 3-4 times a year? So they roll up on Friday afternoon. What do they see?
Well, everything's taken care of for them. We found quite often that the individual who has a successful career, who is grinding it out all week long, then they come back up to the lake house, and whether it's Friday night or early Friday morning or Saturday morning, then they find out and they come up, and then they're literally disappointed or saddened by the factor that they have to be here, right? And the reason that they're sad is because of the factor that now they've got to maintain everything. They got to hop on the mower, they got to mow the grass, the irrigation system didn't work, plants are dying, the cobwebs are all over everything, electrical was out, the laundry list is literally forever. But when they come up and then they try to get a hold of a contractor. It's now the weekend. Then they can't get a hold of anybody.
Right.
They're even more upset. So then they sit there and they question, like, why did I buy this? This is just work. Why did I buy something that's going to make me do more work? So it's that pain point, right? And that pain point is what we've been able to alleviate for a lot of our clients, because we're taking care of stuff and we're maintaining things at a high level, and we're taking care of the irrigation systems, So it's literally all of those. We're weeding the beds, right? Because the good Lord above has this amazing thing that happens, and little birdies come by and they drop little seeds, or it just comes up from the soil because the seeds are already in the soil, and now these weeds are all over everything, and now you got to spend 8 hours of your day doing that when you could have been sitting there with your spouse, with your grandchildren, with your children, and enjoying the lake. And that's the reason why you bought it. Because when you first went out there, imagine yourself standing out and looking at the lake. The first thing that you thought in your mind, like, oh my word, I'm going to have an amazing time by relaxing and enjoying. And when you find out that it's actually work, all that fun goes away. That's why we're here, and that's why we're here to take care of you.
Absolutely. And obviously it's one of the core tenets of Lakescape. It's easy to go design something and build it and then run, because that's the easy part, but Lakescape is design, build, and maintain.
Yeah.
For that very reason. And I feel it, the same thing. It's like, you get to the weekend and, for all of you guys watching, how many Saturday mornings have been ruined for you because the guy next door is either mowing or got his leaf blower running at full speed because they're doing all their maintenance on your weekend? And not only is it annoying for them because they're not enjoying their lake place, but it's kind of annoying for your neighbors as well. So I think that's absolutely kind of a mirror image of our customers and the pain that it feels, because unfortunately they don't get up to the lake every weekend. So they don't even have that opportunity to get a cadence to get things maintained. So it might be in a month. And obviously things get in bad way. So it's interesting how very similar and almost identical the pain point is. And one of the key reasons, that our landscape services will be the architectural, the design, obviously the ability to build it correctly and do an amazing job for our customer, warranty it, support it, but also maintain their entire Lakescape environment, which I think is really key, because that's from their dock to their mailbox. We're going to be able to maintain everything about that Lakescape, and I think that's exciting for us.
I agree. Yeah, it's. I think that's where we're going to be separating ourselves from the rest of the crowd. So
it's funny you say that, because like the dock business is like, well, how hard could that be? It's really simple, and you realize we have 20 plus people to deliver that simple service. And when we first started talking, I had this kind of naive view of landscaping, because generally speaking, a landscaper is generally a guy in his truck, and he can get business and kind of get it all done. And you look at it and go, well, how hard can this be? Maybe we'll just grow this organically. And we even thought about in the early days, we'll just add it on to Lake Martin Dock Company, right? Just how hard is this? And then you dig into it and you're like, to do this correctly for our clientele, there's multiple verticals of knowledge and experience you have to understand that, especially when you get around a lake, you've got all the rain and the fall off and the elevation changes and the structural things that need to happen when you have such a steep lot like we do here on Lake Martin and other lakes. And you're just like, what, business is business, but there's a pretty steep curve to understanding what it takes to do this correctly. And in our clientele, and this is one of the things we merged early on, is our clientele has an expectation of quality that's is exceeds the average contractor in the area, and really was the cornerstone of why Lakescape now exists. Right? It was, who do you know that can do this well, and it was tough for us to put our name behind anybody, and for me it was twofold. Number one, it was like, okay, you could be technically really good at something, but as you and I both know, the technical person's not necessarily the business IQ person. And so we were able to kind of align ourselves in the sense that we have a similar business philosophy and how we want to grow Lakescape across the country, but also the technical IQ to make sure we're doing an excellent job for that customer and being able to kind of exceed their expectations and, quite frankly, bring them some ideas that they might not have thought about, because just like the docks kind of look like the same docks they did 20 years ago. There's some subtle changes in technology, but there's not a lot of changes in the design. So those are some things that I know that part of the business is looking at. How do we bring us out of the 80s from a technology perspective or a design perspective? And I think it's fun you've spent time in the South in your early career, but you also have kind of a broader view of the landscape and the hardscape world, and even water features and things like that. Coming from a place of, like you said, 1,000 lakes in the same dang county. Our lake just takes up the whole county. That's okay. And bringing a lot of that expertise to our clients. And a lot of our customers are not from this area anymore. They're not the Birmingham, Atlanta, Montgomery, Auburn crowd. We just had a gentleman in here from Scottsdale, Arizona. So having a little bit broader view of the world allows us to better service those customers and give them other ideas than, kind of the standard issue. Well, that's what my neighbor did, so that's what I'm going to do type thing. When you look at, you've been here for a while, when you look at this environment relative to your home base in Minnesota, what similarities are there, and then what are some of the kind of more exciting things that you think you'll be able to do other than work more than 6 months of the year down here?
Well, I mean, that's the true attraction to starting a business down here, David, is literally the factor of being able to work 12 months out of the year. We have to, in Minnesota, we get shut down by weather, and our teams are basically, the good Lord above allows us to work on average about 167 days out of the year. So that gets to be difficult from a business and financial standpoint. So that's, I would say, the end that I think is a little bit more selfish on my end, right? But when we come to the factor of the quality of service and what we do, that's not going to change, right? And the high level that we've always been able to solve problems and take care of needs is going to be our number one focus and priority. As far as like design and not only myself, but I also have team members that have gone to school specifically for design and landscaping experience that way. But the designs nowadays are constantly morphing, right? Where typically you used to have just a paver patio that was square, and you came in and you put in these little tiny, rectangle blocks, and you turn around and you ran away.
I had one of those, thanks.
Yeah, but nowadays, I mean, they're actually larger slabs, and you can lay them out in different patterns, and you can do inlays or and other things that are called like soldier courses, and some real true ornate designs. Now, does it take time? Yes, and it's a lot of cuts, and it's not necessarily easy, but there's some really, really neat stuff that you can do nowadays. And now they're even using stuff, so like products that they had, back in the day, literally had no warranty to it. Right. Products that you have now have lifetime warranty to it, because there's certain standards and codes that paper makers have to adhere to that never used to be in play, 20 plus years ago. So then, like for us, then we take that to the next level. So we take the lifetime warranty, then we put a 5-year warranty behind what it is that we do, so that exceeds us beyond anyone. Because if something fails, I want to come back and fix it, and I want to make sure that you're taken care of. Chuck in a truck, who we call the guy that just puts a lawnmower in the back of his truck and runs around, right, he's going to just take off and go. And as soon as his taillights you see, that's the end of his warranty. So that's another component, I think, that helps separate, us as a company in Minnesota that I think we can easily implement down here as well.
And that matches, obviously, like we talked early on, is, the expectation of our customer is, back in the dock company days, 3 years from now, if a cleat comes loose or something comes loose, we're going to come out, we send the service truck, we fix it, we leave, that's it. 100%. Right? That's an expectation of who and what they purchase, and I know you dovetailed nicely into that and the expectations of our customer. Mm-hmm. To that end, you mentioned a couple of products that aren't widely used here. And we'll have some follow up videos and things talk about specifically down into the kind of the gritty of some of the products. And you kind of hit it on the, a lot of things are always, they're just square, and it's because we as contractors are lazy. But that's not what looks nice, and that's not what people want. And so now we have curved railings that match the curved paver outlines and all the things. And it's exciting where the technology has gone, but where it ties in, and you mentioned the warranty and the kind of the quality of the product. On Lake Martin, a lot of folks use a lot of natural stone because that's just kind of how people did things. And obviously with natural stone, there's no warranty. Whereas generally speaking, most of our customers, this is a second home. And so it's like, I need maintenance free. I don't want to come back in the spring and have, a to-do list as long as my arm. So, we're trying to match how people use their property with, the products that we present to them. And I think it's exciting for me and for our customers to kind of have some real world examples of, hey, these are products that work, all over the country in very harsh environments, to pick on Minnesota in the winter. I don't even want to think about that. I don't think about that, actually.
So, don't have to.
So I think it's going to be a lot of fun to bring some products to the forefront for our customers they're not terribly familiar with, but also not try to put them in a box to where it's easy for us, and we want to create the vision that they have for that outdoor environment. Because what's fun here, and I imagine it's very similar, but they find out very quickly they're going to spend the majority of their time either on their deck, on their patio, by the pool, and on the dock. And it's generally one of those is where they live. And you go inside at night to go to sleep. And so the outside of the house and their entire lakescape is literally where the investment needs to be. So, for us to be able to kind of holistically take care of that, you mentioned electrical, we're rolling all the trades up underneath Lakescape, so where we can control that very complex project. Because that was always the scary part. It was like, well, yes, I can do this, but you're going to need to go find somebody to do these other things. And then all of a sudden this project gets scary for the homeowner and going, I'm not a general contractor. I don't want to manage all these things. So that's where I think the Lakescape vision is going to be super, super critical and super successful. One last question. It's an important question because folks know that, you're coming down from Minnesota to Alabama. You have some history in Alabama doing some work in the Birmingham area and the PGA Tour Series and things like that. But that's not long enough. So once you get your driver's license, I'm not going to hold you to it on the air, but you're going to have to declare Auburn or Alabama. Yeah. So you need to put some thought into that.
Yeah. I do like the color orange, so I think I probably will be directed more towards that side. But, again, I'm not a huge sports fan, but if I have to sit down and spend the time doing that, I'm probably going to be looking at the orange side.
There you go. Well, everybody, I hope you enjoyed getting to know Pat a little bit better. We're going to have a lot more information and content on the landscape side of the house, but we just want to take a minute to make an introduction and welcome Pat to the team and to the family, and we look forward to many years of successful projects for you guys and look forward to learning more together.